We adopted my son Isaiah from Korea when he was 18 months old. As we prepared for Isaiah to come home, all we had was a picture. But even that picture was enough. Before he ever was in my arms, I absolutely fell in love with that little boy. I couldn't wait. With Korean adoptions, one of the things you can do is have them escorted to the United States. And so that's what we did. And so we got the call. And there was excitement in our house. The kids were crying and laughing, and my wife was excited. We got all ready to go, and we went to the airport, and we waited for Isaiah. And Isaiah, along with another child, was being brought at the same time. The plane was delayed. Matter of fact, they couldn't figure out if he was going to arrive at all that night. But finally, late into the evening, the plane arrived, and we watched as people came off. More and more people came off the airplane, and there was no little Korean boy on that plane. Till finally he walked around the corner, and I felt my heart just leaping as I saw this little boy. He was so adorable. They were walking with him, and they got him to us, and the lady that was escorting Isaiah handed this beautiful little boy to my wife. I can't explain it other than to say at that second I fell madly in love. It was like a Norman Rockwell moment until Isaiah took one look at my wife Lisa and began to scream like no other kid I had ever heard in my life. It was a scream so loud and so terrifying that other people were looking over to see what was going on. And I don't know if you've ever held an 18-month-old child who doesn't want to be held, but he was arching his back as much as he could, trying to get away and kicking and doing whatever it took to get away. And finally, my wife didn't have enough strength to hold him, so she sat him down, and he tried to run back to the airplane, and we picked him up and held him. And it was so heart-wrenching. There were people in the Des Moines airport, people we didn't know, that were just sobbing as they watched this little boy, because he was in so much pain. At that moment, all I could think is, Lord, please help me. I don't know what to do. So finally, I picked him up and I turned him away from me so he was facing out. And I went to the escalator. And I started to go down the escalator. And as soon as we started going down, Isaiah stopped crying and stared. I don't know if he had ever seen an escalator before. All I knew, he wasn't crying. We got to the bottom of the escalator and he began to scream again. So I went to the up escalator and I went up the escalator and he stopped crying again. I went up and down that escalator for well over an hour. Finally, he had turned toward me and I was holding him. And I looked at my wife and I said, "Here, it's your turn." And he began to scream again. And she went up and down the escalator with Isaiah. It was a long night at the airport. But by the end of the night, Isaiah had turned towards my wife and was holding on for dear life. From that day on, Isaiah has known that we are his mom and his dad. He is our son. We are all God's adopted sons and daughters. It says so in Scripture. That day I learned a little bit more what that means. Even when we don't understand God's love for us, it is still there. Even when we want to deny God's love for us, it is still there. Even when we turn and run another direction, God is still there. Your relationship may be strong with Christ. You may know God is in your life right now, but you may also question that. And that's okay. God's love's big enough for your questions. And He still will be there to love you and to call you back. I think so many young people that I meet have this idea that they have messed up so bad that they can never turn back to God. But I don't believe in a God that will look at you when you come back to Him and say, "Hey, where have you been?" I believe in a God who is standing, waiting for you, saying, "Welcome home."